What's up, YouTube? Before I get in the video, let me remind you that if you like my content, hit that like and subscribe button, and also if you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon at patreon.com/uncommonramen, capital U, capital R. I do all this in my free time, so any amount of support can help me bring more of this content to you more often. Okay, today we are going to take a look at a commander deck based around Orca Siege Demon. Orca was a character that was introduced to us in Legends as a 7/4 vanilla, so it's kind of interesting to see this new reimagining of her. So let's take a look at the commander real quick here. So we got Orca Siege Demon. It is 5 a black and a red for a 5/5 that has trample, and whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Orca Siege Demon. And whenever Orca dies, it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of targets. So what we're going to try and do here is abuse that death trigger, as well as the secondary trigger of getting +1/+1 counters. Try to make her obnoxiously big, and then kill her so that we can deal damage to a lot of things or to single targets. We got a lot of interesting things in here to kind of shore that up. Orca does cost a lot, so we have some things in here to kind of help mitigate the fact that she costs 7. Alright, for starters, we're going to take a look at creatures. Let me just grab those. We're going to start out with a Bloodghast. Let me just adjust my camera here. Okay, so Bloodghast is 2 black for a 2/1 that can't block. Has haste if your life, or as long as your opponent has 10 or less life. And it has landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we're just trying to get recursion on creatures. We got Braid's Arisen Nightmare. It is 3 for a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life, and you draw a card. So we get a little bit of a draw engine in here, as well as a way to sacrifice creatures. We got Chain Devil for 3 and a black. It's a 4/2. It has Animate Chains. When Chain Devil enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. This is a cool sack trigger type creature that doesn't see. They can see things that aren't tokens, basically. So you can prevent your opponents from sacking their measly tokens to creatures like that. We got Demon's Disciple, 2 and a black for a 3/1. When Demon's Disciple enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, and this is a perfect example of where they can just sack a token in this case. We got Disciple of Bolas for 3 and a black. It's a 2/1. When Disciple of Bolas enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. This is a great target for Orca, especially if she's very large. We got Dreadhorde Butcher for 1 black, 1 red. It's a 1/1 with haste. When Dreadhorde Butcher deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on Dreadhorde Butcher, and then when Dreadhorde Butcher dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Very similar here to Orca, except that it has to deal combat damage instead of seeing creatures die. And it's just a really big menace in the early game. Next up, we have Endrick Sar for 4 and a black. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put X 1/1 black Thrall creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the converted mana cost. And whenever you control 7 or more Thralls, sacrifice Endrick Sar, Master Breeder. We want to abuse that ability, so trying to cast things and then sacrifice those Thralls ASAP. We got Fleshbag Marauder for 2 and a black. It's a 3/1. When Fleshbag Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. We got Garna Blood Fist of Keld. It's 1 a black and 2 red for a 4/3. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna Blood Fist of Keld deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is great for incidental damage or draw. We got Grim Haruspex for 2 and a black. It's a 3/2 with Morph for a black. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you get to draw a card. So another interesting draw engine. We got Jadar, Ghoul Caller of Nephalia, 1 and a black for a 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, if you have no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So we're going to be populating tokens quite a bit just for sack fodder. We got Judith, the Scourge Diva for 1 a black and a red. It's a 2/2 that says other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith Scourge Diva deals 1 damage to any target. More incidental damage that can be done to the face. We got Jury, Master of the Review, 1 black and 1 red for a 1/1. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Jury, Master of the Review, and whenever Jury dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This was the original commander of a deck like this. I did enjoy Orca because I think the ability to spread that damage if necessary is really important. We got Legomos, Hand of Hatred for 1, a black and red is a 1/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 2/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste, and then sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. You can also tap this to search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and you can only activate that if you have 5 or more creatures die this turn. Is it you specifically? No, if 5 or more creatures. So this could be your opponent's creatures as well. We got Mahadi Emporium Master for 1, a black and a red. It's 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. This is a very important card in this deck. We got Massacre Girl for 3 and 2 black. It is Menace. It's a 4/4. When Massacre Girl enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. This is a board wipe on legs and is really good when you have an Orca in play to see all of those deaths and then eventually die himself or herself. We got Mayhem Devil for 1, a black and red. It's a 3/3. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. Another incidental damage thing. We got Midnight Reaper for 2 and a black. It's a 3/2. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. Another way to draw some cards. We got Morbid Opportunist for 2 and a black. It's a 1/3. Whenever 1 or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. We got Nether Trader for 2 black. It's a 1/1 with haste and shadow. Whenever another creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1 black. If you do, return Nether Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. We've got Pitiless Plunderer for 3 and a black. It's a 1/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact. Well, you know what a treasure is. Create a treasure. We got Plaguecrafter for 2 and a black. That's a 3/2. When Plaguecrafter enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. Got Professional Facebreaker for 2 and a red. It's got Menace. It's a 2/3. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Sacrifice a treasure. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. We got Reassembling Skeleton for 1 and a black. It's a 1/1, and you can pay 1 and a black to return Reassembling Skeleton from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. We got Ruthless Technomancer for 3 and a black. When Ruthless Technomancer enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature you control. If you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. And for 2 and a black, you can sacrifice X artifacts, return target creature with power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. X can't be 0. This is a really cool card in here. It definitely elongates a turn by creating a lot of sack triggers. We got Shakedown Heavy for 2 and a black. It's a 6/4 with Menace. Whenever Shakedown Heavy attacks, defending player may have you draw a card. If they do, untap Shakedown Heavy and remove it from combat. We've got Solemn Simulacrum for 4. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped in the shuffle, and then when it dies, you get to draw a card. We've got the Balrog Durin's Bane for 5 and a black and a red. It's a 7/5. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent sacrifice this turn. It has haste. The Balrog Durin's Bane can't be blocked except by legendary creatures. When the Balrog dies, destroy a target artifact or creature an opponent controls. We've got Viscera Seer for 1 black. It's a 1/1. Sacrifice a creature. Scry 1. We've got Woe Strider for 2 and a black. It's a 3/2. When Woe Strider enters the battlefield, you get to create a 0/1 white goat creature token. You can sacrifice sacrifice another creature to scry 1, and it has escape for 3 and 2 black. Exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and when Woe Strider escapes, it'll get 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So those are the creatures. It's all based on getting sack triggers and getting tokens. to help build up Orca's power. Next up, we got Instance. We got Bedevil for for 2 black and a red. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. This is just for versatility. We got Burnt Offering for 1 black. You can sacrifice a creature and add that creature's casting cost in any combination of red or black mana to your mana pool. This is great for a lot of targets in here, but especially for Orca. We got Chaos Warp for 2 and a black. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. We got Deadly Dispute for 1 and a black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you sacrifice an artifact or a creature. You can draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. We got Feign Death for 1 black. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. We got Kazul's Fury for 2 and a red. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Kazul's Fury deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. Another great target for Orca. We got Malakir Rebirth for 1 black. Choose target creature. You lose 2 life until end of turn. That creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. We got Supernatural Stamina for 1 black. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. We got Tainted Strike for 1 black. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Infect until end of turn. We got Undying Malice for 1 black. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Again, redundancy effects of trying to get the Orca back in play without having to pay its cost again. We got Village Rites for 1 black. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you sacrifice a creature and draw 2 cards. Next up, we're going to look at sorceries. Starting with Blasphemous Act. It costs 8 and a red, and it costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. We got Damnation for 2 and 2 black. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. We got Diabolic Intent for 1 and a black. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. We got Feed the Swarm for 1 and a black. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to its mana value, again for the versatility. We got Jessica's Will for 2 and a red. You can choose one, or if you control your commander, choose both. You add 1 red mana to your mana pool for each card in the target opponent's hand, and you exile the top 3 cards of your library. You can play them this turn. We got Living Death for 3 and 2 black. Each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. We got Night's Whisper for 1 and a black. You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. We got Reanimate for 1 black. Put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. From a graveyard, my bad. Onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. We've got Sign in Blood for 2 black. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. And then we got Victimize for 2 and a black. You get to choose 2 target creature cards from a graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. Next up, we have Artifacts. Starting with Arcane Signet for 2. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We got Ashnod's Altar for 3. Sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless. We got Jeweled Lotus for 0. You can tap it and sacrifice it to add 3 mana of any 1 color. You can only spend that mana to cast your commander. We got Lightning Greaves for 2. Equipped creature has Haste and Shroud and equips for 0. We got Mask of Gristlebrand for 1 and 2 black. Equipped creature has Flying and Lifelink. Whenever equipped creature dies, you may pay X life, where X is the power. If you do, draw X cards. It equips for 3. We got Mindstone, costs 2. You can tap it for 1, or you can tap 1 and it to sacrifice it to draw a card. We got Rakdos Signet for 2. You can pay 1 and tap it to add black and red to your mana pool. We got Soul Ring that costs 1. You can tap it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. We got Talisman of Indulgence. It costs 2. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it to add black or red, and it deals 1 damage to you. Next up, we have Enchantments. Starting with Black Market. For 3 and 2 black, whenever a creature dies, you put a charge counter on Black Market. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add black mana to your mana pool for each charge counter on Black Market. This is a very important piece in the deck. We got Dictate of Erebos. It's 3 and 2 black. It has Flash, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. We got Phyrexian Arena for 1 and 2 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life. And then finally, we got Tribute to Hirobi for 1 and a black. Chapters 1 and 2 have each opponent create a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token. And then Chapter 3 has this exile and return to the battlefield as Echo of Death's Wail. It has flying and haste. It's a 3/3. When Echo of Death's Wail enters the battlefield, gain control of all rat tokens. And then whenever Echo of Death's Wail attacks, you can sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Next up, we're going to take a look at battles. This is, I think, one of the first decks that I have, a deck tech that I did that has a battle in it. We're going to look at Invasion of Asgol for 1 black and 1 red. It has 4... what kind of tokens are these? Whatever these tokens are. Whenever Invasion of Asgol enters the battlefield, target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker and loses 1 life. When you defeat the battle, you get Ashen Reaper. It is a 2/1 with Menace. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on Ashen Reaper if a permanent was put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Then we got Planeswalkers. We're going to have Tevesh Zot. Doom of Fools. It's 4 and a black with 4 loyalty. Its +2 is to create 2/0/1 black Thrall creature tokens. Its +1 is you may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. If you do, draw 2 cards. Then draw up another card if the sacrificed permanent was a commander. For -10, you gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from command zones onto the battlefield under your control. And you can use this as your commander. It also has partner. And then we're going to take a look at non-basic lands. We've got Blightstep Pathway, which turns into Searstep Pathway on the other side. We got Blood Crypt, which is a red-black shockland. We got Cabal Coffers, which you can tap to and tap it to add black mana to your mana pool for each swamp you control. We have Command Tower, taps for your commander's color identity. We got Dragonskull Summit, check land for red-black. We got Haunted Ridge, another check land for red-black. We got Luxury Suite, a crowd land for red-black. Got Myriad Landscape. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it, and sacrifice it to search your library for 2 basic land types that share a land type. Sorry, 2 basic lands that share a land type. We got Phyrexian Tower. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it to sacrifice a creature to add 2 black. We got Shadowblood Ridge. It's a filter land for red-black. Got Sulphur Springs, a pain land for red-black. Got Tainted Peak. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it to add red or black, only if you control a swamp. And then we got Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Each land is a swamp in addition to its other types. And then lastly, we'll look at basic lands. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 swamps. So that is the Orca Siege Demon deck. The whole idea here is to get the commander out ASAP using things like the Jeweled Lotus, Ashnod's Altar, Black Market, and then build the commander up with +1/+1 encounters, utilizing sacrifice effects and destroy effects, and then sacrifice it arbitrarily to deal a ridiculous amount of damage. We have Tainted Strike in there as well to do infect if you really need to take somebody out quickly. And there's just a numerous amount of things in there that tech with this deck that make it just sometimes just go off. But yeah, that is Orca Siege Demon. If you have any questions or concerns, leave those down below. Leave those down below. Let's keep it positive. I will be removing any negative comments. And that's it, guys. Until next time, peace.